I will. Oh, good. It looks like everyone's shown up. Timely bunch. All right. So Charlotte Hughes is our first up from the Young Writers Project. She wrote, "I've got news for you." And the characters are Lillian, played by Kirsten Anderson, a genuine, kind-hearted woman, age 22. Ian, played by Nick Caicedo, is a rather snobby and conceited man, age 31. Harold is a tired and grumpy man, played by Matt Riley, age 66. And Fred, a well-meaning but slightly frustrated man of 45 years, is played by Tim Lewis. Setting: a news studio. At Rise, Fred, Ian, and Harold enter. Ian complaining to Fred.
I'm so tired. Remind me again, Fred, why are you making me come in this early on a weekend?
It is 10:15 a.m. Ian, you'll survive.
Well, if I don't, you'll be hearing from my lawyers.
What lawyers? Rural meteorologists don't have lawyers.
But I could get some. I'll have you know my father gave me quite a large inheritance when he died.
Your father worked at Target.
Yeah, well, I got one word for you: competitive pay.
That's 2 words.
I don't give it.
Ian, Harold, please stop. As soon as Lillian gets here, we're starting and I want to be ready.
I wonder what she's like. She probably likes decaf coffee.
Well, I hope she likes the Washington Wizards. They're the best team in the NBA.
No one likes the Wizards because they suck.
Well, they're certainly doing better than the Cavs. And you're just mad because you picked a bad favorite team.
Please, you two, it's almost 10:30. Lillian is going to be here soon, and we need to set up the cameras and... Oh.
His phone rings.
Hello?
Excuse me, is this Studio 54?
Who are you?
Me. Oh, I'm Lillian Oliver. I'm supposed to have an interview with Fred Hannigan at 10:30. Do you have a job interview today too?
No, I already work here. I'm Ian O'Connell, the best meteorologist in the area.
The best? You sure about that?
Shut up, Harold.
Oh, good. You made it.
Did I come at the wrong time? Am I late?
No, you're all good. I'm Fred Hannigan. Nice to meet you. You're lucky, Lillian, because we brought in our studio's meteorologist and sports anchor just for your audition.
You brought us in for everyone else's audition, too.
Well, even so, thank you for giving me the opportunity. I have to admit, though, I'm slightly confused. I thought this would be like a regular interview.
Oh, no. First, what we want you to do is audition. Then later we can do an interview if we still need to. But that's later. Right now, we want to put you right in the action. We're going to tape you, Mr. O'Connell and Mr. Collins doing a typical broadcast. It won't be live, though, just a tape. I won't interrupt unless one of you starts a fire or something. All right, all you have to do is just read off the teleprompter. And there may be some curveballs thrown your way, but we just want to see how well you can improvise on the spot. News is all about spontaneity. So, may I formally introduce you to your fellow anchors, Mr. O'Connell and Mr. Collins. Good. Okay, I'm going to leave now and make sure that everything else is set up. Good luck, Lillian.
What about me?
Good luck, Ian.
Ha! Joke's on you. I don't need luck.
Thank you for helping me with my audition, Mr. O'Connell and Mr. Collins. Being a news anchor is my dream job. Ever since I was a little girl, I've wanted to do this. You have no idea how much this means.
Sure, whatever. But you should know, this job is mine.
Uh-huh.
No way is he going to hire you, Ian. You couldn't be an anchor if your life depended on it.
I'm ignoring you. You're too old to make any sense anyhow.
You know, a man's body may grow old, but inside, his spirit can still be as young and as restless as ever.
Oh, that's really funny. You crack me up.
What did he say?
The stupid geezer is quoting his favorite movie, Secondhand Lions. He does it just to annoy me. He knows I hate that movie.
That's my point. You need to be educated in the ways of quality cinema. that trash you youngsters watch.
Star Wars is quality movie franchise.
It's a bunch of space junk.
Can you two go 5 minutes without insulting each other?
No.
At least you agree on something.
I meant yes.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did, old man.
Be quiet. Are you all ready?
Yes.
I was born ready.
So you'll die completely unprepared.
You're one to talk.
I swear to God.
That's blasphemy.
Ian,
Fine, fine.
good. Lillian, just read off the teleprompter, right?
Right.
Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're on.
Good morning from Channel 4 News. I'm your lead anchor, Lillian Oliver, and with me is our meteorologist, Ian O'Connell,
So,
and our sports anchor, Harold Collins. 5 people were hospitalized today after an inflatable decoration at a car dealership fell into the road, causing several accidents. Luckily, no one was fatally injured. This is not the first time this issue has been raised about the advertising of the dealership, the House of Cars. Several months ago, citizens had come forth with petitions requesting that they move their inflatables away from the roads as it was a major distraction for drivers. We've talked to some of the families involved, and the majority of them are threatening to sue. However, a spokesperson for the dealership seemed to be confident that the matter would be sorted out outside of the courthouse.
Jesus!
I believe you meant to say, bless you.
Oh gosh, this teleprompter doesn't stop. In other news, a woman found a pelican in her basement who has been flying out in and out of her house in the window, which explains the smell of the dead fish, which she blamed on her husband's tuna addiction. But when she saw the pelican, she decided to keep it and name it Harry. Now, with the weather, with meteorologist Ian O'Connell.
Honey, I told you, I'm allergic to dogs. You got what? That's the size of our apartment. I don't care what your mother said. Well, you're gonna get rid of him.
Excuse me, Mr. O'Connell?
You told her what?
Mr. O'Connell, we're in the middle of my taped audition.
Fine. We'll talk about this later. I gotta go. Okay. All right. What are we talking about?
It's your turn to do the weather.
Oh, right. Weather. Cloudy with the chance of meatballs. Back to you, Diane.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connell. I guess we'll come back to you later. Why don't we pass it over to you, Mr. Collins?
Huh?
It's your segment now.
Oh, joy. So for the weather, we have...
No, you moron. You're sports. I'm weather.
Oh, really? Well, then LeBron James plays for the Lakers, and let's go Wizards. How's that?
Maybe you could elaborate a little, if you want to.
You know what? The stuff we're talking about, no one cares about that. Do you know what we really should be talking about? Snoopy Dog.
Oh, good God. Here we go again.
What is he talking about?
Harold, don't make me say it.
Say what?
Snoop Dogg and Snoopy are different people.
Speak up. I can't hear you.
Snoop Dogg and Snoopy.
Just pulling your leg. I heard you the first time. How old do you think I am?
If you don't mind, I would like to get back to the broadcast, please. This is my audition.
All right.
Okay, finally. In other news, a local grocery store.
He walks into a bar.
No!
Yeah. And the dog.
Hey, where are you going?
Home.
But the broadcast isn't over.
I know, but maybe you should just get the job.
When hell freezes over.
Wait, you don't want the job?
Of course I want the job. But what I don't want is to have to do all the work with a bunch of people who are trying to thwart me at every turn.
Who's thwarting you?
You're thwarting her, you idiot.
I'm talking about both of you. Harold, you are totally unproductive and showing no respect for anyone. And Ian, you just keep screwing around and trying to make it harder for me. And both of you, you keep arguing. It's awful. I don't want to work here if it's just going to be like this.
Lillian, listen.
No, you listen. I wanted to be a news anchor since I was 6. And as I've grown up, I've watched countless huge world events, and the people right in the heat of it were the news anchors and the journalists. That's where I want to be. And trust me, I've tried so many times to get a news job, and often I don't even get an interview. But now I have a chance. I could be a news anchor, but you are just both being huge, inconsiderate brats. I've been polite about the whole thing. I've tried to be nice, but if I'm not wanted, I'm leaving.
Way to go, Harold. Lillian, come on. We're just messing around. It was just a joke.
Not to me, it wasn't.
Ian's jokes usually suck.
Fine. Okay, it wasn't funny. Come on, what can we do to make it up to you?
Well, an apology wouldn't hurt.
You heard the woman. Apologize.
Fine. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
If we're apologizing, then Harold, don't you have something you'd like to say?
Fine. I'm sorry too, I guess.
I appreciate it. But I still don't want to work with people who aren't nice to each other.
Do you have to make me say it? Okay, we were jerks. Well, especially Harold. Nope, sorry, we're both equally jerky, and though this sounds hard to believe, we do like you. Plus, you should see the other people who wanted this job.
They were awful.
Wait, you want me to stay? But I thought you wanted this job.
I do, but Fred won't let me, and it's okay. You're probably better than me at it anyway. Doing the weather isn't too bad.
Fine. I'll stay for the end of the broadcast, but after that, no promises.
You sound like Mary Poppins. I'll stay until the weather changes. Okay, sorry.
In other news, a local grocery store has begun.
You're hired.
I'm sorry, what?
You heard me. You are hired.
But we didn't finish the broadcast.
Oh, I don't care. Listen, every other person who interviewed for this job ran out of the studio because they didn't want to deal with those two over there. You made Ian O'Connell apologize. Do you know how rare that is?
Hey!
Hold on. Oh.
Hey, hold on. I don't want to be an anchor because I tamed them. I want the job if I did a good job.
Lillian, look at me. You have so much potential. We always get the leftover people from Channel 65 News, and this is a chance to have someone new and fresh who actually gives a crap about the news. Trust me, we want you.
Well, if you're sure that's the real reason, I accept. I'll be the news anchor.
Scene. Okay, welcome to our humble screen. We have our playwright, Charlotte Hughes, with us today. Hi, Charlotte. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Good. So to kick us off, I'm hoping that people will be using the Q&A function as they're watching from home. But to kick it off, I wanted to get very first impressions from you seeing these 4 characters bring your play to life. What was it like?
Well, I was a little worried before it started because I didn't have any chance to give any notes or any sort of things I couldn't convey in the script as I did last year when I did this. But I think you all did really good. It was so much fun to watch.
Yeah, I would agree. It was kind of, I felt like I needed to mute myself at times because it was a laugh out loud script, the way that you rendered the voices of all the different characters and gave them such different personalities within this very small scene. What notes might you have given them if you had had that opportunity? What were some of the top things on your list?
Well, before the scene, before seeing it, I probably would have said like Ian and Harold. Just the dialogue needs to be kind of like right on top of each other, as it's always like kind of a banter with the two of them.
How did
And
we do, Charlotte?
huh?
How did we do?
You guys did great. I was laughing
All
the whole
right, right
time,
on
even though
top
I
of
knew
each
it was
other.
coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Fred just needs to be perpetually annoyed like the entire time, and except for the end, of course, he starts getting a little bit softer. And I thought the Kirsten, the Lillian arc, you did a great job portraying that.
Lovely. Well, wow, guys, you already have the playwright singing your praises. So really nice job on your performances. I had a question about I often thought, and maybe it's because I have a young kid, especially with the dabbing that Ian did there, that the two newscasters were very young. Did you kind of write them with kind of childlike qualities in mind, or
Well,
with the
I have my two brothers and my dad who are watching right now, and we often have kind of a banter of some sort back and forth, and so I was kind of inspired by that and kind of all the jokes that insults, fun insults we send at each other. So I was really inspired by that for their characters.
rip straight out of your personal life then?
Yeah, basically.
Awesome. I am trying to make sure I'm looking at the Q&A. Hold on one second. Okay. You had two sections of Lillian's audition that you wrote. One was a piece about a traffic accident probably caused by one of those, I'm imagining one of those inflatable guys, maybe?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's really hard though. I couldn't figure out what to call them for the longest time. They don't really have a name. They're just kind of like a universally known thing, but no one really knows the word for them.
Well, you know what? It was vivid in my mind. I knew right away you were talking about whatever those things are called, and also the tuna addiction. I'm just wondering, did you use those as sort of a playground for creative writing, because they felt very, how did you go about writing those audition pieces? They were very entertaining.
I think they just kind of came just right out of my head. I was trying to think of something, not something super serious for the act, like it's something you might hear in an actual news broadcast, but kind of something silly or kind of funny. And those just kind of came into my head and I wrote them down and then developed them a little bit more later to make more sense with the broadcast.
They were really fun. I mean, it very much kept that tone that this was a comedy, really, really a funny thing to watch. And then the news pieces were really shining moments. Do any of the actors have a question for the playwright?
Well, I just wanted to say that it's so extraordinary to be able to meet the playwright, because very often, you read a play and, even if the playwright's alive and well, you don't necessarily get to meet them and have this kind of discourse and conversation with them. So that's really cool. But I was also just thoroughly impressed with your piece. The sense of music, tempo, rhythm, tonality, all of that was there and really ever present throughout the piece. And each individual character had a very clear tone, and it was just so fun to sink my teeth into it as an actor. So thank you for that, Charlotte.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And it was also really nice because you really think Ian's character, at least I did, I thought Ian's character was really not going to be able to have any redemption, right? You definitely wrote him very, shallow, and he was really out for Lillian. So to have that be able to turn, you did that really masterfully, that you were able to kind of get him to settle down and mature up a little bit. That was a really lovely pivot in your script. Really nice.
Thank you.
Did anyone else think that the not the Fred character, the Matt, your character, the Harold character, you were really channeling an inner the guy from The Office.
It was so it was when I read it, and I was curious, Charlotte, if you had that voice in your head, the Nick Offerman character from Parks and Rec.
Oh yeah.
Kind of going through my head as I was reading that.
I mean, that carol was actually written. I love writing kind of funny, quirky characters. And so originally when I first started writing this play, the idea was to have Harold just kind of asleep for the entire broadcast and like wake up occasionally and just say some funny stuff. But again, he kind of developed as my playwriting process went on. But he wasn't super inspired by anyone. He was just a character I've had kind of had in the back of my mind for a while and thought this would be a good opportunity to use. But now that you say it, Ron Swanson, I totally see Ron
Yeah,
Swanson.
I borrowed liberally from my experiences of watching him.
Stacy, do you see there's in the chat box a question that talks about the news anchor audition idea and the setting?
No, my Q&A is blank.
Oh, the chat box.
Oh.
We take the questions that were from the live stream and we'll post them in the chat box. So you'll
Wow,
have
Charlotte, that's what you get for having this be my first moderated play of the day.
you're doing all-
I was staring at an empty chat box, just trying to make things go, Amy.
Oh.
So someone said, I love the setting for the news anchor audition. How did you get the idea for the setting?
Oh gosh, this is a little bit of a funny story, but maybe like 6 months ago or something, my dad and I don't know if you're familiar, we watched the movie Anchorman and with Will Ferrell and Steve Carell. And I remember thinking that kind of that setting in the news, like that was a really great setting for comedy. And it had a lot of potential to be worked with. And so as I started thinking about what I wanted my play to be, I was like, I wonder if I can somehow work back to that news studio, but with completely different characters and a completely different plot.
That's awesome. Well, it definitely was absolutely original and unique and wonderfully rendered characters. So thank you so much for bringing this to us, to the from the Young Writers Project to the Vermont Young Playwrights. Round of applause.